Welcome to the Financial Planners Southeast Asia podcast, a show dedicated to driving the positive evolution of financial advice, specifically within Southeast Asia. To join a global community of financial advisors sharing and learning with one another to drive the positive evolution of financial advice, head to xyadvisor.com. Welcome to another episode of the Financial Planners Southeast Asia podcast. Gwen here, and today I am again with one of my favorite guests here in the podcast, in the show, Kevin Neoh. He is the founder and CTO of NextGen Advisors. He's also the practice director of VKA Wealth Planners and a certified financial planner from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Thank you so much for being in the show again, Kevin.
Thank you, Gwen, for inviting me back to your show. Been following all the great conversations you have with all your great guests.
Oh, wonderful. And I'd have to thank you for that. So as I mentioned before when we were chatting, that most of the great discussions that I've had here in the podcast is because you started to introduce me to wonderful financial advisors or financial planners in Malaysia as well. So thank you so much. And so most of the guests here that I've had here are your friends and colleagues, right?
Yes, you are right.
Oh, wonderful. So yes, and that's why, again, I want to, I've invited Kevin over to the podcast again because I wanted to learn more about social media and the effect it has in a financial planner's business, as well as how people and clients perceive financial planners as well, because I've just had a conversation with a financial planner who is based in Dubai. His name is Jay Tolentino. And he talked about how he likes providing free content to not only bring in new clients, but at the center of it all, he genuinely wants to share and to help people learn and be more conscious about how they're managing their money. And I'm sure that it's the same for you, right?
Yes.
That you're very passionate about, sharing and helping people. So I guess I wanted to start with the post that really got a lot of people's attention. It's this post around the Iceberg. It's the Iceberg.
Oh, that one.
Yes, so it garnered a lot of attention, particularly in LinkedIn. So just a brief context about the post. So it's actually a picture of an iceberg and with like a caption that says, "What does a financial planner do?" And at the top of the iceberg, it just says insurance and investments. But below the iceberg, there's an even bigger iceberg that you can't see in the surface because it's submerged in the waters. And there's a lot of aspects that people do not see. And I guess to help our listeners conceptualize or see this, I'm going to share the post in the show notes for this podcast. But I guess, Kevin, can you tell us what inspired you to do this post? And did you ever think that it would gain that amount of attention?
To be very honest, I have never expected that a post like this. I draw it myself, so I've never expected that it will garner so much of responses. We call that reactions on LinkedIn, as well as a lot of conversations, and it was reshared by other advisors around different countries through Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn as well. So it's really beyond my wildest imagination would I ever imagine that it will receive such responses from people around the world.
Yes, that's right. But how did you what gave you the idea of drawing that piece of content and sharing it?
Initially, let me recall back what happened. I think it started with the fact that, number one, to post certain contents, I was thinking about how can I make it a little bit more interesting to catch people's attention, because nowadays on social media, a lot of people are posting different kind of things. So sometimes we need to stop people from further their scrolling action to go down. So you may need some kind of things to stop them and capture their eyeball. So I was thinking, should I try to sketch something? So I just go along with sketching. And of course, before this iceberg, I have also done other sketches as well. But then when it
Yes,
comes
yes.
to this, I think it was spurred by one feeling that I had at that particular point of time, which is like I was a bit frustrated seeing a lot of different posts from different quote unquote financial advisors. Most of the contents are revolving around, look, I have a new product and these products can help you. I have a new fund and this fund is very good. So that gave me a context that actually my work as a financial advisor as well as a financial planner, I don't really care so much about products per se. Yeah, and how can I talk about product if I don't even understand who is this client, what's really important to this client, and what does this person care about, or what are their worries and whatnot. So I was thinking maybe a post can be created around this concept. Then an iceberg is really a very good way to illustrate that, because even in psychology classes and whatnot, they have been using an iceberg to describe how we feel and how we react. Actually, there's a lot of things that we cannot see, but those are the driver that determine the surface of the iceberg. And that is when I started with the top of the iceberg being the products, and I think I wrote only insurance and investment, and then the rest of it will come at the end, which is I slowly expand. But I started at the very bottom, which is from understanding what's important for the client, and then slowly move up the iceberg.
Yes, that's so true. And it's very, and I think one of the reasons why it garnered a lot of attention from other people, especially a lot of financial planners, because they resonate with the idea that you've presented in this post. Like, it's so true. A lot of people only see like the surface, which is investments and insurance and how to grow money and how to keep it. But um, before they can even reach that, or a financial planner can even provide the type of insurance that you need and the type of investments that you need, there are a lot of things in the works that at the surface level
Mm,
people don't see, and they don't see that financial planners are actually working really hard in order to produce the best advice that they can provide their clients. So yes, and that's why I this actually this post actually sparked the idea of me thinking that I want to get you in the podcast again, because you've been sharing a lot of stuff, which is really good, which has real value for clients. And again, one of those are the syndicated posts that you've created for the financial planning month of October. So you've shared a lot of posts, and I even told you a few days ago that some of these posts has really made me stop and think about and reflect on my own finances. If I'm doing a good job, if some of these tips that you've shared on your social media, have I been implementing this in my life as well? One example would be I think it was around meal planning.
ah,
So in your post that you said that meal planning will really help you in saving more, and
mm-hmm.
I know that for a fact that it works, but I don't usually apply it so much. And so I tried to do it again. Actually, over the weekend we tried meal prepping, and so now we're seeing how it goes. But yes, so one of those like things, like I know it's just little posts that you guys do, but it actually helps open a lot of like avenues or opportunities for people to talk about money. And I'm just curious, like Do you guys like how did you come up with the idea of doing like a syndicated post?
Uh, Actually, this is not a thing that I plan that way. And being as a planner, these are things that I did randomly, sometimes based on uh impulses and idea comes randomly sometimes, so it's really unplanned. But what happened was, I was aware that the first week of October, almost every year for the last 5 years, the world will be celebrating World Financial Planning Day. So the beginning of this idea is just to share one advice on Financial Planning Day. Then
Yeah.
I thought, why only one? Maybe we make it like a financial planning week. So I started for 7 week daily picture.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then at the end of the day, I thought, actually I have more advice or idea to share than just 7 ideas. And I thought, why not just expand it to 1 month? And that's how, I mean, there is no so-called financial planning month, right? I think it
Yeah.
doesn't exist, but it's just what I label it myself, because this whole October we have a financial planning day, we have the IOSCO Investors Week, and just the last day of October itself is World Savings Day. So I thought, just
Yeah.
call it the financial planning month. It's actually something I self-labeled, and I think the only thing people celebrate will be a week throughout the beginning of the October in conjunction with the World Financial Planning Day, because those are the uh, dates that is driven by, organization like Financial Planning Standard Board. So people are celebrating that, but Financial Planning Month, I think, is quite long. But since I have done all those daily ideas, so I just thought maybe just post it out, because I believe that whatever I have created, it has value to certain people. It
Yes,
just depends on the
definitely.
timing. Yeah.
Yeah, I found the advice that you've posted every day whenever I see them and every morning in my LinkedIn to be very helpful. And I agree with you making it a 1 month thing because I know it's not true, but there's a saying that goes, it takes 21 days to break a habit, right? So
Mm.
um, yes, and that's why I think that it's a really good idea to do it for a whole month, and I hope that you guys do it next year again. But I also see these posts posted by other financial advisors. Did you like how did you share this with other advisors, or did they ask to you to share those posts to them?
I think what happened was, again, it was quite a random idea. I did the first day post, which the design done already, and then the copy of the whole post. Then I posted on my own LinkedIn and Facebook page. And then I thought maybe some of them may be interested to use the same things, especially the graphic, the visual, to post on their own social media accounts. Whereas they can create their own copy, but if they want to, I can share with them my copy as well. So I proceeded to ask a few person, especially I started with some of them, I think 2 or 3 people who have talked to me about they tried to post on social media, but they had some challenges or struggle in starting. So I thought maybe for a 30 days period, if you agree to do this together, I share with you. At least you make a habit of posting something for the next 30 days. So I asked them if they would be interested, and very quickly they say, please send to me. So I just forward to them. And then after that, I thought about few more wonderful people who we work together as a team. So I asked them as well, would you like to do this together? And they just agreed to do together without hesitation. So this is a good part of them as well.
Oh yes, and that's such a good idea because I know that there are a lot of financial planners out there who do want to start sharing in social media,
Mm,
because right now, because of the pandemic, it's mostly where we get eyeballs, right? Through social media, but they don't know how. Like, they're intimidated by like what to do, where to start.
what cannot
Um,
say, what can say.
yeah, yeah, that's right, right? Because financial advice is very. It's kind of tricky because not all advice applies to everyone. So you have to be
Mm-hmm.
mindful on the type of advice that you put out there. So I think that it's a good idea that a group of you just band together and post it. And I call this syndicated content. So I mentioned this to you that
Yeah.
this is what I learned from marketing. It's syndicated content. So it's a any type of social media content, whether it's like an audio like this podcast or a social
Mm-hmm.
media post or a video that you also like to do, right? I know that you
Mm.
love to do video, and it's published on multiple sites and platforms beyond the main source.
Mm.
So in that way, it broadens the reach and visibility for that particular post. So what you guys did was that you created one type of content, say about planning your meals. And because a lot of you guys were sharing the same message, it went to a lot of avenues, to a lot of more eyeballs than what your what a post can usually reach if it was just shared with one person. And I think that's a really great idea too, because you get to reach a lot of people with one message.
Yes, at the very minimum, if I'm the only person who shared these contents or messages, then it only would be limited to my connections on whichever social media accounts I use. But the moment I have another person who also posts this onto his or her own account, then her network will be able to see and read the same contents. And I think this is where it can actually have a spillover effect to reach out, to expand the reach to more people. And who knows, maybe one person who read and certain contents resonated to this person, he or she may share to their own family members or circle of friends. And maybe from here, a piece of good advice can actually motivate or trigger someone to do things that is actually in their own benefit that over the long run. So I think this is some hidden benefit of sharing ideas and contents and information freely and uh, generously in a way, right?
Yes, and oh, that's one of the things that I'd like to ask you. How come you're very generous with the amount of social media content that you put out there?
It's not really to say generous, I think, but it's just, you see, the whole thing about social media is like a tool. It can be used to for good deeds. It can also be used to do something that only benefit a certain people. And at this time, I think, especially during this very unprecedented, challenging time frame that we are living in a pandemic era, uh, there are a lot of information on social media. They may not be benefit for everyone generally, because certain contents posted by people could be with another agenda or interest that may in the end promote themselves or sell certain things that will benefit their company and themselves forever, for what I know. So you also need to have contents that are really beneficial for people, and as far as I'm concerned, it should be neutral, and it's really be how to say, not filled with conflict, but with a good intention. And I think in a way this is to balance out the whatever danger we can have from social media. So that's one of the reasons that I'm sharing. Number two is that I believe personal finance is really something that a lot of people weren't taught when we were studying in school.
Yes.
And these are really essential knowledge and skill for us to do well in life. We can have a very good academic result, but if you do not know how to manage your money, you can earn a high income, but it wouldn't matter over the long run. I would say, from at least from my experience dealing with people. So these are the contents that I think at the very minimum people should be able to see, to learn, to read. And we have a lot of people who are very keen and eager to learn. So
Yeah.
at the same time, from last year onward, there are a lot of experts who are offering their courses uh, for free. And once you
Yeah.
attended that, maybe during the whole process, you will be convinced that you should attend their paid course. And you make for whatever we know, you may end up in a circle that you keep on pay money to attend courses, and there are a lot of courses that maybe you. I think the most important thing is we can learn a lot of things, but are you taking action based on what you have learned or not? So I think the thing I'm trying to do is I want to share some of the info and knowledge, and at the end of the day, I hope that I can actually trigger you to take action from what you have learned, so that you can see small step, small improvement over time. I think it will become quite significant.
Yes, and I agree with that because I just remembered when you said that. I remembered our conversation with Bose. He's one of the my upcoming guests for the podcast,
Yeah,
and
looking
he
forward for
talked
that.
about. Yes, yes. So I think that I'm not sure if I did it justice. I know that I had more questions for him, but the time for the podcast was not enough. But I remember that he said that there's aside from financial literacy, people should have financial numeracy, and what that means is just putting what you have learned from from financial literacy
Mm-hmm.
to practicing it, which is financial numeracy. And that really clicked because I do remember that there was a point in time when I kept reading books about personal finance, but it took a really long time and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
discussion with my partner before I implemented the things that I've learned. And even then, I thought that I wasn't learning enough. So, and I know that there are a lot of people out there who are constantly, as you said, attending seminars, maybe like me, or like reading books, but not really implementing everything that they've learned. So there is still that gap. So that's very interesting that you pointed out that one as well. And I agree that the more that people see little reminders, like the post that you guys share
Mm.
in your team about the good money habits, the more it will sink into people, and one day they might put that to good use. Which leads me to another question as well. So I in your post, there's a small icon there that says Money Warriors Community. Can you tell us more about that?
Thank you for asking that. This is actually a community that I intend to make it, like a virtual safe place for people to learn about personal finance and to build their financial literacy. And at the same time, they should also know that it is safe for them to ask their question inside the community, because the community, at the very least, I will be moderated by me. So I will make sure that whatever conversation it is taking inside, there will not be blind spots over, or will not have some messages from someone who wants to lead you to visit their product or services. So I will make sure I moderate the community to make sure it is safe for people. And at the same time, I also have included some courses inside the community for people to attend. So the courses, again, is not just giving you information, but I will share with you certain story or certain points. And then at the end of the day, it's all about what are you going to do about that.
So mainly, so it's a group of just people who are in this community, and then you help them um, with their finances. Is that what it is?
It's actually just like, we have groups in Facebook, but I think there are a lot of personal finance related groups on Facebook. But sometimes if you join certain groups, you may notice that, at least from my contacts here in Malaysia, there are a lot of people, they are very keen to ask questions and get guidance or advice. But sometimes we are not aware that about who's actually inside those group. So some of the time
Yeah,
you may ask a question very genuinely, and then you have a lot of people offering you advice. Some
advice.
advice are actually very extreme. Some advice may only be biased towards their limited experience with certain things. So I think if people rely on that as a channel to get suggestion and advice, while it is good because we get ideas, but if it's not moderated well, it could actually lead to a lot of people taking on advices that are not really cut for them, and in the end they may get cut and hurt by doing so. And I thought maybe to, instead of having so many groups in the social media, maybe people can make use of one more. But this one more, I will try my best to moderate it, as well as I'll input my own ideas into how it can be used to benefit people. So more or less, this is what is done. So for anyone who is interested to sharpen their financial literacy and to learn more about personal finance related topics, they are welcome to join the community. And once they request to join, we will screen through. So some of them I will see if their background is actually involved in selling financial product and whatnot, then I may contact them to ask them about their objective, why are they here and whatnot, before I decide whether or not to approve them into the community.
Ah, I see. So it's similar to the XY Advisor community
Yes,
when we
it's
started
hosted on the
in
same
Facebook.
platform.
Ah, yeah. So you're in Facebook as well, or in Mighty
No,
Network?
Money Network.
Ah, wonderful. So you have so you're in Mighty Networks as well.
Yeah.
And so that it can be greatly moderated, right? Because the
Yes.
Mighty Networks platform is really made for communities. So
Mm.
in that case, if is this a paid community, or can people join for free?
At least at this moment, it is free to join, so you can join for free. But because my our experience is only very limited in Malaysia context, so I'll try to say that it is limited for Malaysian consumer.
Yes, I would agree, because we do have different um, financial like economic structure here
Yeah.
per country. But it's such a great initiative from you guys, that you get to moderate it and make sure that it is a safe place, safe in a sense that people are safe, or can feel safe um, in sharing their financial situation and their financial questions without being judged by it, and
Yes.
safe as well, in the context that if they are answered, they will get answers that are being filtered by certified financial planners. So it's not just answers based from people with agenda who's
Yes.
answering those money questions. That's such a great initiative. And so far, like, how what are like the most common questions that you see that are being asked in this community?
This community, we only rolled it out in a very soft manner. I think a couple of months ago, maybe about the same time that this podcast was rolled out. So
Oh.
up to now, the community has not really been as vibrant as it could have been yet. But currently the makeup of the composition of members, they are generally a younger segment, as well as some of them are actually from parents with children. So there are certain questions. Most of it, I would say, is more or less related to things like saving money, emergency fund, as well as building habit that can actually support us to do better as far as our financial planning is concerned.
So yeah, so I guess it's mostly the same questions that like people in their, say, early in their financial journey would ask, right?
Mm.
How to get started with their finances. But in this case, I just want to understand how you're able to sustain this platform. So where do you get the funds to run the platform currently?
Currently, it is self-funded, paid by my account.
Yes. Yes. So this is like a passion project for you.
Yes, very rightly described that.
But that's good because because as you know, I don't know if you know, but XY Advisor was also started out as a passion project from the founders as well. So they really just
Wow.
wanted to make sure that there was a place where financial advisors in Australia can ask the questions that they've been burning to ask other advisors, but they can only get to ask these questions when they get together in a pub,
Mm.
because they usually meet in pubs.
Mm-hmm.
But they wanted to include more advisors and around these discussions as well. So it just started out as that. I know that they when they started, they were also it was a passion project. They had their own careers when they
Yeah,
started out, but it
but
grew.
look at what SY Advisor has become now, right? And look at
Yes,
the
yes,
conversation, that the questions that people are asking almost daily, and the
yes.
responses, the very selfless answering and sharing. This is what really driving the positive evolution of financial advice.
Financial.
Yeah.
I definitely agree because especially during the pandemic, Kevin, we actually saw a lot of questions that pertain to mental health for financial planners,
Mm,
and these questions were questions that were never asked out loud in the community prior to that. But because financial planners and financial advisors saw that this platform, the XY platform, was a safe space for them to air out these concerns, they were able to do so, and people were very genuine in giving their feedback, their advice, or cheering them on in keeping in the industry. So I'm sure that your community will thrive. It just needs more time and more people coming in. So I'm really glad that you started that project. It might be like a slow pace, but it's going to get there. Because
no doubt about that.
I'm sure it will, because this podcast itself started in a slow trajectory, um, uh, because of maybe it's the lack of social media presence, but
Mm,
it has steadily grown up. So that's because I think that not everything in the internet can just blow up just like that, right? So
definitely.
some takes time, some takes patience, some takes a lot of patience. But I'm glad that you started that. I check it out?
Of course you can. I'll
Wonderful.
share the link with you after this.
Yes, and I will also put that link over here in the show notes of this podcast so that people from Malaysia can check it out as well. And I guess my next question is, because you've been very, and I've seen, or I mentioned this earlier in my introduction, that you are the founder and CTO of NextGen Advisors. Can you tell us more about NextGen Advisors and like what do you guys do?
Uh, so the thing is a little bit try to let me try to make it simple. So in Malaysia, if we want to provide financial planning, we have to apply for license from our regulators, which is the central bank as well as Security Commission Malaysia. I think on this part, Rajan your has shared a very detailed one in the previous episode, so I'm not going to delve into that. But on top of financial planning, I do also realize that through my engagement with my clients, a lot of time, especially those people who really only need money management service or help in terms of money management, they don't really need a full scale financial planning services. So it also require the element of, like a bit more on mentoring and coaching. So that's more of what the next gen advisors will provide, or we focus more on that, because what I'm focusing through this brand is to provide financial life coaching services, which is what I call a money transformation program, whereby we work with clients to help them to transform their relationship with their money. A lot of them, they actually are struggling with managing their money. not because they are not earning high enough income, but because they are being controlled by their money. They were the slave towards the money, which is the master. But to really thrive in our life, we have to regain the control and redefine the relationship we have with our money. So it should be here to support us, not for us to support the money. So that's
Yes.
more or less what we do here.
Oh, that's wonderful. And how many advisors are you in your in the team?
So the members in that is associated to this brand is actually not many. I think about 5 of us, and we actually are all licensed financial planner under our principal company, and that's where we know each other, and we
Mm.
start to explore how to provide more on money management services to people, and to coach them and to help them to really take action. And I mean, this is where our transformation begin, when we start to take the smallest step possible. You can learn everything. If you don't do anything, you didn't do nothing, then eventually there is no progress, and progress is the most important thing, isn't it?
Now, I asked because I'm very curious because you guys really do like great work when it comes to providing the like customer service. As far as I can see here in how you guys interact with clients, how you post your wins, and how you help by posting social media, and I wonder like if a financial planner wants to decide that they want to join your next gen team, can they, like, how can they do that, or can they even do that?
I have never thought of that, but I think it's something quite
Mm.
not so straightforward. I think the beginning point should be that a person should be, if they want to provide financial planning services, then it should be a licensed, regulated activity, and therefore they need to find a principal firm and then join there. And at this time, the NextGen advisors, the coaching program is mainly provided by me myself, because I have made sure I learn about coaching. I also, so this is mainly from myself only. Then some of them I'm training them, I'm teaching them how to do so. So it's more on the advisor learning with advisor, and then you can design your own coaching program if you want to.
Oh, I see. So you're the like you do the coaching for your team members as well. And I know you've been through coaching seminars, right?
Mm,
And you're very passionate about coaching as well. I remember that you mentioned this in our previous podcast. Um, and like, how's it going? Like, what's the relationship now between you as the coach and your coachees? How are they faring?
For the advisors one, some of them is, I'm very happy to share that we do see a lot of progress. Some for the beginners one, they have grown more comfortable when they share with client, let's say on the value of advice, the value of working together, and they are not so shy about explaining what we do, and then there's a fee behind for what we do. I mean, if you look at the iceberg that we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
there's so much work that we actually do with the clients to help them. And these are the things that people don't see. And this is why the value of working with a financial advisor is actually far outweighed for whatever cost we pay for that. So they are more comfortable in explaining our services and whatnot. So this is quite a good progress.
Ah, yes, yes, because I know that for myself as well. It to me it was a weird. I always got this weird feeling when I ask or divulge fees. So I used to be a full time artist.
Mhm.
If you didn't know, Kevin, I used to do traditional artworks, and one of the things that I didn't like about the career that I've chosen was to actually ask for the fees.
Mm.
And I know that for some people, these like this type of skill comes out naturally, but for some people, it's actually very hard to talk about money because you're actually asking money from other people. So I'm glad that you were also like part of your coaching is to help financial planners in order to make that topic more comfortable to talk about.
Yes. I think one of the reason sometimes we are not comfortable to divulge into the conversation related to fees because there are a lot of things that people are naturally know they have to pay a fee for the product or services. You know, like when we buy food, it's normal that I know I expect to pay for the food. But when we come to services, sometimes people are not aware how to price your service, right? It's not like
Yes.
food, you have a natural way to price it, maybe by weight, or look at the next door, how much they're selling for the same sandwich. So maybe it's more or less about that. But when it comes to financial services, especially in countries that are still being developed for this space, a lot of the majority of the primary compensation model revolve around commission compensation. So there is no fee to pay. Right. So
Yeah. So
we have to shift our mindset as well because whatever we do, we actually doing based on our time, and it's actually a service and it's not related to product. You may not buy product. If you need product, you don't have to buy through me. You can buy from, different website, some channel that maybe you don't have to pay. You can even pay zero fee for instance. So we all make sure we share with the client, this is what you can do on your own. But there are a lot of things that if you need help, this is where we are here for you for. And for this service, this is how what is the cost. So it's
very well
important
said.
for
Mhm.
us to help
Mhm.
them to understand what kind of problems they are facing and what kind of help or support they need from us. And when you have the perspective around that conversation instead of what is the product related things, right? Then it's very natural for the clients to understand that in order for them to engage us, to use us to provide this service and this support, there is a cost for our time. So it's very natural that they will have to come to weigh their decision whether it is does the value outweigh the cost that they are going to pay us.
Mm, that's wonderful. And I so I'm a bit speechless right now because I just thought of like so many things that advisors can benefit from this type of conversation as well, because I think it's one of the important questions that some financial planners don't ask yet, especially in an industry that's still growing. So in Malaysia and here in the Philippines, like um, it's still a growing industry. It's not a norm for people to pay for someone for financial advice, or to help with financial planning. So it's very interesting to talk about this topic in detail, but we are in our time limit for the podcast, so that's very unfortunate. But I really appreciate that you've started that conversation, and I hope that this conversation, that this is a start where financial planners can also ask conversations about that. And so, yeah, thank you so much for giving us a lot to think about, Kevin. From
You're
creating
welcome.
content, yeah, and to starting a community for people, to in order to help them with their money, and to also help financial planners make the most out of their career by coaching them. So really a lot of things to think about, and to ideas for other financial planners to start for themselves as well. So before we formally close this podcast, well, first I'd like to thank you so much for coming to the show again,
You're
Kevin.
most welcome, Gwen.
Yeah, so
It's
I'm
my
so happy
pleasure.
that you're always open for a session. But where can people find you if they want to reach out to you? or first, where can financial planners reach out to you if they have questions or if they want to get to know you more?
We can always connect on LinkedIn. I guess everyone has a LinkedIn account. Sometimes people are not so comfortable in approaching another person on Facebook because sometimes they don't want the other person to know their personal profile. So I think LinkedIn it's a easier place for everyone to just if you want to further on any conversation, just feel free to PM me and then I'll respond to you whenever I see the message.
Wonderful. And how about for regular people, people who want to maybe learn more about your Money Warriors community, or for them to, if they want to reach out to ask about your services?
Uh, LinkedIn is a good starting point, but I do have a Facebook account and also an Instagram account. So I guess it depends on where are you more active on and where you feel more comfortable. For me, it's always the same because all these apps are in the same phone. So and all have notifications. So I will not. I will still be notified anyway. So it's same for me.
Wonderful. All right. So in that case, I will put all of your social media and where you can reach Kevin if you're listening. Where you can reach Kevin, I'll put everything in the show notes below so that you can go ahead and get to know him more and have great conversations. So thank you so much again, Kevin, for being on the show again. I really appreciate it. You have a good one.
Thank you so much. Actually, I'm the one who is supposed to be appreciative towards your invitation again.
No, no problem. I really love talking to you. I love the passion that you bring to the financial planning table, especially in Malaysia, and all the ideas that you have. So I genuinely appreciate all the posts. Like as I mentioned earlier, the post that you've provided with regards to small tips every
Yes.
day has helped me like reassess, like, am I doing this, am I not doing this? So I think it's very helpful. So thanks so much.
Thank you for your feedback. This has made all the effort worthwhile.
uh, you're most welcome. So let's continue to have great conversations, not just here in the podcast, but yeah, so I'll continue to support you in your social media endeavors, and yeah, I'll continue to have you on the show if you let us.
Of course. You're more than welcome.
Wonderful. All right. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.